My name is Indy Anna Bones. I'm an archaeologist, explorer, adventurer, cryptozoologist, street art expert, and friend to pigeons. Join the adventure as I explore mysterious places, forgotten history, and track down unknown creatures. First things first, the Dutchman was never lost. He's right here. You can see him from the road, only a 10-minute walk from downtown Phoenix. It was Jacob Waltz's fabulous gold mine that was missing, and on today's adventure, I'm trying to find it. Stories of lost treasure were already common in 1891. A family called Peralta had supposedly worked a mine in the Superstition Mountains, only to be massacred by Apaches. Later, a doctor named Thorne claimed to have been paid by an Apache chief for medical services with all the gold he could carry from that hidden stash. Another story tells of two soldiers who emerged from the desert with saddlebags filled with gold, but both were murdered before they could reveal the location of the source. Modern historical evidence suggests that the Peraltas, the two soldiers, and Dr. Thorne never existed, but these mountains are called the Superstitions for a reason. Julia Thomas trekked out into the Superstitions in August of 1892. The heat must have been unbearable as her team dragged carts of mining equipment behind them. But they believed it would be worth it. Julia was sure she had secret knowledge. If she could reach Weaver's Needle, she would be able to find the Dutchman's lost gold mine. Pioneer Cemetery and Military Park was established in 1988 to preserve this important part of Phoenix's heritage. These cemeteries officially opened in 1884, but were used as a burial ground much earlier than that. Many famous Phoenix residents were buried here, but over the centuries the cemeteries fell into disrepair, and the tombstones were blasted by the desert wind. Jacob Waltz was laid to rest here in 1891 after he died from pneumonia. His grave is in the furthest corner of the cemetery, and is visible from the road on the corner of Harrison and 15th, near the train tracks. Waltz was a German immigrant, which were known as Dutch at the time. He owned a farm outside Phoenix and was more than 80 years old when he lost it all in a flood. Julia Thomas was his friend in town, who opened her home to him after the calamity. She was one of the few and most prominent female business owners in Phoenix, but her life was already beginning to unravel when she crossed paths with Jacob Waltz. Julia had been abandoned by her husband, who stole all her money, and her business was deep in debt. Julia owned a confectionery shop, and Waltz had liked to indulge his sweet tooth when he came into town. On occasion, Waltz helped Julia out of a bind with a few handfuls of gold ore. She had grown up in a German household and was fluent in Dutch, so this gave Jacob someone he could talk to. Waltz was already sick with pneumonia when he came to live with Julia. She cared for him in his final days. Waltz repaid her kindness with the box of gold he kept under his bed and a promise that more was to be found. Several variants of the legend exist, with Waltz either finding a thick gold vein he mined himself, or a stash of gold ore left by another operation. Regardless, he claimed to have hidden it so well that a man could walk over the entrance and not know what he had missed. Before he died, Waltz told Julia how to find it. A year later, she became the first woman to go on expedition to find the Dutchman's lost mine. Julia Thomas and her company set off to Weaver's Needle, an important landmark in Waltz's directions. Today, the rock is visible from Highway 88. A few miles away is the clearly marked Lost Dutchman Museum and Goldfield ghost town attractions. For Julia and her crew, the trip from Phoenix would have taken days traveling across open terrain. They spent 5 weeks searching around Weaver's Needle, but ultimately came up empty-handed. Julia later gave up her treasure hunting and formed a strange religion. And it is from this period that many claims are made against her. She had been accused of selling fake maps to the mine. Of the many fakes that exist, none can verifiably be linked to Julia Thomas. Some of the most famous fake maps are the so-called Peralta stones, which are said to have been handed down in the legendary family for generations. If deciphered, the map would lead to a mother lode that had been lost to the Apaches. While the stones are frequently associated with the legend of the Dutchman, none of the many clues conclusively link the stones to Waltz's mine. Today, these stones are widely considered to be modern forgeries, and no Peralta families are known to be associated with gold mining in the Superstition Mountains. The sad irony is that on her way to Weaver's Needle, Julia Thomas walked across the Mammoth Claim, where a mother lode of gold-bearing quartz was discovered in 1893. Some have gone as far as to suggest that Mammoth was in fact Jacob Waltz's mine. Instead, Julia became one of the first people to lose everything to the Dutchman's legend. The list of broken lives, strange disappearances, and possible murders stretches on through the ages. The truth is, the desert is a dangerous and mysterious place, even when a modern paved highway runs through it. This very real reminder of the danger was hanging in the shelters near the viewing station when I came to see Weaver's Needle. The only gold I found was in the museum gift shop.
I'll be there to guide you into the great unknown. The great unknown. The great unknown. 'Cause I bear witness. I won't let you go unseen. When everyone looks away, unsure of what to do or say, I see you.
Oh, most famous. Oh, the most fake ones.